Okay, so let's do a quick little review today of Beauty and the Beast. Okay, first things first, let's review fairy tales. Are fairy tales true stories? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. Alright, fairy tales are not a true story. They are make-believe stories with make-believe characters. Do fairy tales have the exact same setting? Do all of them take place in the exact same place? Thumbs down. They're all in different places. All at different times. Do fairy tales often have royal characters like kings, queens, princesses? Yes, they do a lot of times. Do they usually have a happy ending? Yes, they do. And Beauty and the Beast has a happy ending. It even ends. And they lived happily ever after in this one. Okay. Now, in this story, we learn about a merchant, a person who buys and sells, and his daughters. In this version, how many daughters does the merchant have? Yes, the merchant has 3 daughters in this version. He has an elder or oldest daughter. He has a middle daughter. And then he has the youngest daughter. And her name is Beauty. That's the only one we know the name to. Alright, why does everyone look sad in this picture? Yes, the merchant has lost his fortune, lost his money. He has had a lot of misfortunes. What does misfortune mean again? Alright, if you have misfortunes, do you have good luck or bad luck? There's a lot of misfortune and events in your life. You've had lots of bad luck happen to you. Lots of bad things have happened. Alright, he lost his money. His ships were lost at sea, and he lost all of the goods on them. And that made him lose even more money. So they had to leave the big city, and they lost all the money, had to move into a little bitty house, a little cottage out in the woods. And so they're not used to this type of life. Who is the only person that seems to be okay with it? Yes, Beauty. She seems to be handling it okay. So, the merchant finds out one day one of his ships is found, and he thinks maybe he's going to find his money. He's like, maybe I'll get some of my fortune back. So as he goes, the oldest daughter says, oh, bring me back what? What does she want? Yeah, she's like, bring me back a dress. I want a new dress. And the middle daughter wants what? A necklace. And what does Beauty want? She doesn't want any of that stuff that you spend a lot of money on. She just wants a rose, something that smells beautiful. That's right. So, the father goes. Does he find his money or his fortune? No, the ship has, everything's been stolen off of the ship, so he still doesn't have any money. He has just enough money to buy the dress, the necklace, and then he's on his way. So he gets into a blizzard or a snowstorm, and he has to find shelter. Where does he find shelter at? Here at the castle. And we find out that that castle belongs to the Beast. At this point, we didn't know it. All right, so he calls out. No one answers, but he finds a delicious meal prepared, So he sits down and eats. And then he goes walking. And he is shocked or astonished at what he finds. He finds a magical garden. What is so magical about this garden? And we notice that there's snow everywhere on top, but do we have snow falling inside of the garden? No, it's an enchanted or magical garden. Everything is blooming and growing just like if it were spring. It even feels warm in there. And all of a sudden, the merchant remembers he forgot what? Yes, he forgot the rose for beauty. So he decides to do what? He decides to pick it. And then we meet the beast. How is the beast described? Yes, fearsome. That means to be afraid of. So they're afraid of the beast. He looks like he's part man and part animal. All right, and the beast feels how? He's angry or upset. What does he tell the merchant? Yeah, he tells him, he said, you've got to come back and live with me forever because you picked my rose. And he tells him the only way he can get out of it is if he does what? Send someone in his place. So the merchant goes home. His eldest daughter and middle daughter are excited, but what's wrong with Beauty? Beauty can tell that he's upset, and she's worried too. So when Beauty finds out what's going on, what does Beauty decide to do? Beauty wants to go in his place. Alright, in the story it says Beauty is determined to go instead of her father. What does it mean to be determined? Yeah, she sets it in her mind. She wants to go herself. She doesn't want her dad to go. And she is not going to take no for an answer. So even though she's afraid, she still does it herself. So she goes and in the place of her father, she decides to stay with the beast. So how does she feel to start with? Yes, she's very sad and afraid. How does the beast make her feel more comfortable? He's very polite to her. He talks to her at dinner about her family and makes her feel more comfortable. And every night after dinner, what does he ask her? He says, Beauty, do you love me? Will you what? And he says, will you marry me? And what does she say? She'll say, no, thank you. So she's not ready for that yet. She's like, no, thank you. She's very polite. And he says, okay. And every night he eats with her and they talk. But after a while, Beauty starts to feel sad. What is she sad about? She misses her father. He's starting to get old. So what does she ask the beast to do? She asks the beast for time to see her father. And he lets her go. What does he give her so that she can return back to him? Look in his hand. All right, what do you call this type of necklace? It's a locket. So she can wear the locket, and when she's ready to come back, she can hold it and say, I want to go back to the beast, and it would take her back. How long was she supposed to stay? 1 month. So when she gets home, she finds her father now living in a fancy house because he used the coins that he received as payment from the beast. And her sisters are married to men now, but she realizes they're not happily married. They're just married to people that are rich. And she's starting to realize that maybe the beast is not so bad after all, because he is very nice and kind to her. So in the middle of the night, she had a bad dream about who? Yes, about the beast. She dreamed that he was hurt. Where was he at in the dream? He was in the garden. All right, so what does she decide to do? She decides to go back because she's way over the time when she's supposed to be back. So she holds the locket and says, I desire to go back to the beast. When she finds him, he really is in the garden, and he has already died. But when she holds him and cries, her tears do what? Yeah, they bring him back. And what does she tell him? Yeah, she says, I love you. So then what does the beast say? Will you marry me? And what does she say this time, boys and girls? She says yes. So when she says yes, what happens? He changes. So when she says yes, he changes back into a prince. We find out that he was under a spell. He was really a prince, and he needed someone who would love him and marry him, just like he was, who could see through all that. And so the next day they were married, and then we can use that happy ending, and they lived happily ever after. So what's the last thing that happens in this story? Yes, they get married. Very good. Okay. You are going to take a quiz today over this fairy tale. Have someone to read it to you. Read the questions, but you answer the questions yourself. Do your best on it, and tomorrow we are going to start reading some tall tales. These are going to be fun to read, okay? So do your best on Beauty and the Beast, and we'll start some tall tales tomorrow.